They were definitely like boyfriends.
Oh, they were boyfriends.
They were boyfriends.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series, Best Motion Picture 2011. I'm Madi.
And I'm Anna.
And today we're going to be talking about two movies that just so happen to star Benedict Cumberbatch. Warhorse.
And Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Is there one you'd like to start with?
I kind of want to start with Tinker Tailor.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, these are reading glasses. All right, but let's start off with Tinker Tailor then. What did you think of the story?
So, I don't know if it was because I was watching this on my iPad with headphones as it was intended, but I found this movie so confusing. I'm giving it a 2.5. I'm giving it a 2.5.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm not far ahead of you. I'm giving it a 3.5. I just feel like, I don't know how similar of a sentiment I said when we talked about the King's Speech. I'm not into things that are inherently British. The whole rigmarole was not for me, and I'm not really into spy stuff either.
I gave it a score so low because of what I will call like user error. I just don't think I was like concentrating, but at the same time I'm like, if it was better I would have been hooked more. Real trouble with what was actually happening and when these things were happening in this movie, that's why I was like, I can't even give it a fair, even though I'm like sort of having a good time. I couldn't do it. I had to give it a 2.5. It was really hard for me to follow, and I don't exactly know why.
No, I think I know what you're saying. I didn't feel like it was hard to follow, but they would start to lose me. They would start to lose me, and then Tom would come in. Or they started to lose me, and then Ben was stealing the files. Like, I was like, okay, this.
Yes. Oh yeah, there were definitely some moments where it was really tense and you felt the stakes. There was so much like intricacy and twists and turns, but like the way they were laid out so many times, I was like, isn't he dead? What year is it? Because they did not differentiate the flashbacks well enough for me. Like, at all.
Okay. Maybe this is like similar to how you felt. This is more of a 2011-ness, but like one of the negative critics I saw about this movie was that this is based on a book series. This is based on the first book, and there's been like countless attempts at making this story. Somebody from The Atlantic said that there's like a complete Tolkien-ness to these books and to the narration that is missing from this film. I'm not interested in a boy British spy story. If we move on to the art and the performances, I gave it a 4.
I agree with that completely. Great to look at. The performances, I think, were really well done, especially from, King's Speech, Colin Firth, and Gary Oldman. I saw a meme the other day that's like, oh, you want to talk about range? And it was like all these pictures of Gary Oldman. He's no Tooch, but he's got something,
Correct. 100%. I also thought it was like visually great. Like I got that like dirty London feel. This was nominated for 3 Oscars. One of them was for Gary Oldman, one I didn't know, and one was for Best Score. And I will be talking about score when we talk about the next film. I don't know why this one was nominated though. Like this was not special to me when it came to the music. This was no Trent Reznor. This was not it for me. The performance that blew me away was Tom Hardy. Okay.
Oh my, of course. He is so, I feel like, underrated, and maybe that's crazy of me to say because it's like, it's Tom Hardy, but like he has been robbed like many times.
We stand Tom Hardy in this house, okay? The only little beep 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 art things that I wanted to be like, I noticed this. They had two very big tropes in this movie. When Tom Hardy shows up the first time, he's wearing a bright blue sweater. And I was like, no one's worn bright blue yet. Is this going to be a signal that when a character wears bright blue, that's how you know we can trust them? And sure enough, later, Benedict Cumberbatch and Mark Strong also wear bright blue. And I was like, F you, I called it. And then they did that thing where there's a really tense scene scored by a really silly song.
Yes, they did.
Yes, and then they did that to show whenever, like, Roy Bland, whatever the name was like, he was listening in. Like, it was such a, like, this is obvious, this is for a reason. The score not being great, and those little predictable things is why I did not give it a 5.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna get on the hair of Mark Strong. That wig is terrible. Holy crap. You know, they couldn't have adjusted the hairline, and they were like, no, he's still balding. He has long fucking hair, but he's still balding. Okay. Maybe this should have gone in story, but I'll just put it in art because I think it's one of those scenes where it's like something kind of big or serious is happening, and I remember laughing is when Mark Strong, spoiler alert, you know, goes to kill Colin Firth. Just him shooting Colin Firth made me laugh so hard. I think they did it in a very funny way, which is like, that's obviously not funny when someone gets fucking shot in the face.
Face.
I literally covered my mouth laughing. It was by his, like, you know, they were called the Inseparables. By his BFF, set him up because he got shot, you know, in the freaking back, I think, and then so he killed him. As far as the performances and the comedic timing of things, you know, I also agree, like, 4 is adequate.
Okay.
Fine. My last thing, sorry, I just remembered. The shot with that plane and the super, super tight depth of focus, so it looks like the plane is, like, landing and about to run them over, was, like, a standout shot that I watched recently because of something else. Moving on to the 2011-ness.
Yes.
I remember hearing about this, and I remember not watching it, but being aware of it, and, like, I knew Gary Oldman was in it. In the 2011-ness, you know, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 again.
Same.
Okay, cool. I don't want to give it a 3 because this wasn't nominated for things. Was it?
No. I saw, like, it has BAFTAs because it's British. It was nominated for Best Score, and it was nominated for Gary Oldman, and both those things lost. And I don't know what the third thing was, but they lost that too. They did not win any Academy Awards.
Right. And also, you know, we were 15, 16-year-old girls. You know, we weren't going out and seeing this British period piece spy thriller type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, and, you know, like you said, you're not really a fan of, like, British films. I do like them, you know, like, that's fine. I don't dislike them, but I like other British films and even other British, like, spy films more than this. So I gotta give this a 2.5 for the 2011-ness.
Yeah. I like thoroughly agree with all your points, and I think a lot of it stems from that Britishness. Like, we don't know how successful and huge this was overseas, and by that I mean across the pond. Like, this is super British from, like, a British story, and there's all these British remakes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people were like, you didn't like Tinker Tailor, and it's like, no, because this shit's not for me. I also was shocked that I didn't know Ben was gonna be in the movie, because, like, was this not, like, peak Sherlock time?
That makes, I mean,
I guess, I don't know if Sherlock would have been gigantic online yet, though, when this little ditty came out.
Yeah, maybe.
Moving on to today?
I mean, a 2.
Same.
Cool. No memes, no chatter, I don't think. Like, it's one that I don't think has fallen totally into disregard. Like, if you say Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, no one's like, what? I feel like anyone our age is like, that sounds familiar, I never saw it, sounds boring.
I don't know that they'd go as far to say sounds boring, but I agree. Like, this little title sticks out in your mind. It did come from a little British nursery rhyme I learned about, because, like, at one point when they were talking about the chess piece, I was like, what the fuck is this? What preconceived notion do I not have? Again, I think that, like, there's there's like a fandom for this, right? That is, well, that's my real only point for why I gave this a 2 instead of a 1. The same reason that I gave Jonah Hex a 2 instead of a 1. You know?
Yeah, yes.
There was sequel talk in like 2016 that Gary Oldman expressed interest in, but he was like, I'm interested. I simply don't think it'll happen. And like, I'll be he writes. They're nice persons though. I am giving it a 3.
Wow. Explain.
I'm like nervous because of something you said earlier. Not only is Benedict Cumberbatch's character revealed to be gay, so are Colin Firth and Mark Strong.
They were gay, not just besties?
Yeah. In the books, everyone's supposed to suspect, like, were those two something? Not that Colin Firth's character is out, but, like, you slowly learn that, like, he sleeps around and he's bi. He, like, confirmed to people working, and he's like, no, they were lovers. And that is why Mark Strong goes and shoots him in the face. They were #gay.
I knew Benedict was gay because this boyfriend was like, if there's someone else, just tell me. And that made me sad. I'm not gonna say they did a bad job with like inferring that Mark Strong and Colin Firth were lovers, because I can like totally see that, but I just took the words that they said in the movie that they were like best friends. Okay, but go on. Yes, go on.
I was gonna say, I researched like black agents in the MI6, and it seems like literally until 2016 to 2018, there was like not horrific, but extreme racial discrimination to not hire non-white people. So I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. However, it's a fictional story. Like in the United Kingdom, in theater, colorblind cast all the time. There was some play where like Benedict Cumberbatch's dad was played by a black man. Like, I don't understand why they couldn't have just mixed it up a bit with the casting. And that's my piece as to why it's a 3 and not a 5.
I am gonna give it a 2.5. I agree with all the gay stuff, or like even just explicitly having Benedict's character be gay was, I think, nice. You took the words out of my mouth that it's a fictional story. Shouldn't matter. It's different for the King's Speech or the Fighter, somewhat based in real life. You know, these experiences of these people, we're not gonna just like put in people of color because, but aside from like Belinda, like you never saw Anne's face, and that pissed me the fuck off. Like there was like almost negative amounts of women in this movie. Okay, there was the like USSR girl.
There was the old lady that Gary Oldman talked to at one point.
It didn't do enough for me that I was like, there's not enough women in this. His wife, we never see her fucking face, and she like, somebody has an affair with her. Not a lot of people of color. So I'm just giving it a 2.5. I can't bring myself to give it a 3.
I get that.
And you know, these gay and bi characters like are not played by actors that are gay or bi.
Do we know the truth about Ben? Who's to say? But Colin Firth is definitely straight.
That's all I have to say about that. If you want to move on to Married and Family Disclosure,
I think it is fine to move on.
And I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, no.
Now, moving on to Walls. This movie is arguably the one that I wanted to like watch the least of every movie that we had to watch or will have to watch for this season.
Yeah.
So let's start with the story. I gave it a 4.
Oh. I gave it a 3. Granted, I have a little bit of statistics about the book and the play, but regarding my feelings about the story, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, I would have been blown away by this story and this film if it had been made by the Lifetime Movie Network. Cause that's where I felt like it like belonged. And that's that.
Okay.
That's it.
It was Spielberg leaning into his like really cheesy side. Now see, this movie I also watched on my iPad with headphones as intended.
As it was intended to be though.
See, this is where my personal bias is coming through because I know this movie is like not a great movie. However, I like loved it so much. Really like struck a nostalgic chord that I wasn't expecting. The movie was really about the horse, and it did something like almost like Black Beauty or like Homeward Bound. Everyone loved this fucking horse so much that it survived like over the whole war. This is a movie I'm honestly probably going to show my kids. This movie I think is so wholesome, but I gave it a 4. It really touched me, and I feel silly. I like know I'm like this. I can't believe I've made fun of this movie basically that I never saw for like 10 years, but now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna probably like put it on for my children in the future.
No, like, I agree. Like, I would not watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy again unless like I was dating someone and it was their favorite film. I would watch War Horse again. It's such a good family film. If you have a little shithead that loves war movies, or you have a little horse girl, or a little horse boy, or a little horse person, this is an excellent film.
How it was all these just little different people that freaking love this horse. I can't. I was surprised how long it took to actually get to the war, but I'm okay that it took that long. I think this should be said, maybe this should be said in art rather than story. So
would you like to transition to art?
Yes.
Okay.
This, Tinker Tailor, we just said, had one of the funniest fucking shooting scenes of all time. This had one of the most beautiful execution scenes of all time, in my opinion. When the windmill, when those two defected brothers, like, that is obviously, you know, IRL horrible, but this is a movie, and I'm like, that's so beautiful, the way that shot was.
It was nominated for Best Art Direction and Best Cinematography, and, like, that's one of the many reasons why. Steve Spielberg said wanted one of the main characters to be Devon, the place they were. I instantly felt that in a non-annoying New York is the third character way.
The only time that I was like, what the hell is going on, is when, like, at the very end, everything is so orange so that it's silhouetted. I was like, that's a choice. Yes. But yeah, everything else was really, really pretty. I'm gonna give the art a 4 though. I can't give it a 5 because of the orange or something.
LOL. I like, as soon as it happened, I was like, they really think they're doing something with this lighting here. I said 4/5, and I was gonna be like, depending on what she says. So like, I'm also gonna give it a 4. Holy shit. This score was doing such heavy lifting. Like, yes. It was taken away. It was so whimsical. It was so beautiful. There was so much soul. It was also
Did John Williams?
What? Yeah, it's John Williams. It's John Williams. It was nominated for Best Score. The sound mixing, sound editing, cinematography, art, and Best Picture. And like, Best Picture, maybe, sure. Everything else, absolutely yes, this should have been nominated. And I'm shocked it didn't win, and I can't wait to find out what did.
I agree with everything that just came out of your mouth.
Thank you.
Watching this with headphones, the leather straps, the clippy cloppies, the gunfire off in the distance. It was so good sound-wise. It was very impressive. I'm gonna stick with my 4 because I don't know what, it's holding me back. I can't give it a 5. Now, 2011. You said you watched War Horse at sleepovers.
Yes. Yeah.
Or did you want to talk about performances?
I mean, I didn't really notice any of them except for Jeremy Irvine's. I thought he did a fine job.
We mentioned, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hiddleston were in this, and that's why we watched it at sleepovers, and we'll get to that in 2011. I thought they did a pretty good job. His little best friend with that big, big smile died in such a sad way.
Yes.
It was so sad. Okay, but 2011. You watched this at sleepovers.
Yeah, like I remember being forced to watch this, I swear to God, more than once. This was extremely on the radar for me in 2011. Very annoying.
So this was a movie in 2011 my friends and I definitely made fun of without seeing, and we would just say, "War Horse," and I still say it that way. I don't even know if I know anyone who saw it. I'm going to give it a 3. I'll give it a fair. I think a lot of people were aware of this.
I'm giving it a 3.5 from the anecdotal stuff, but then also it made 177 million worldwide, 2.5 times its budget. Critics said that this was a perfect meeting of Saving Private Ryan and E.T., which I think is a pretty nice little comparison there. However, some people did say that the story was a bit unimaginative. Well, this story is based off of a book meant for middle grade readers that's less than 200 pages. He met like some veterans around his hometown and he was talking about their war experiences, and he had this idea to write a little book about a little horse. It was adapted into a stage play that was all puppets and robots in 2007. That play continues to be put on again and again and again and again, as I found out in my present day research, which transitions me into the present day, which is that's basically all I could find about this today. Is I found nothing about the movie. Everything was about the play or scholastic tie-ins to read the book to watch the movie, and I'm giving it a 1.
I'll give it a 1.5 because there's no like memes about it. There is the play, so like that's gonna come out more. This is another movie where if you were like Warhorse, someone's not gonna be like, what's that? They're gonna be like, Warhorse! But yeah, no one's talking about it, and it doesn't have that staying power. I do think if people did revisit it though, they would be like you and me and be like, oh yeah, I'll show this to my kids.
As for the marginalized persons, what did you give it?
A 2, and possibly I should even be going lower. I remember one person of color with lines. Other than that, like, I feel like I did not see any people of color.
Sure, this is a family film. You don't need to have dudes, like, making out for warmth in the trenches, but you can't deny it didn't happen.
Thinking of, say, like, Sam Mendes's 1917. At the end, Albie is at least temporarily like blind. I don't think we see anyone else, like any amputees or anything, but that could have, when he returns home, like we could have seen someone with a limb difference or like missing an eye. I like get it, but at the same time it's like, well, it doesn't have to be a gory representation of limb loss.
If they can do it in How to Train Your Dragon, they could have done it in this movie. Okay,
that's a great way to say it.
Thank you. I like looked into like historically how many Black people served on the Western Front. And well, I was disappointed to learn about the systemic racism in the United Kingdom's like armed forces. If there were non-white men that were at the Western Front, then they were put into labor roles because they were not trusted in combat. However, we saw many people that were in labor roles. All the people that handled the horses, you could have cast some Black extras, or that guy with the Peter Pettigrew haircut. He could have been Black. Like, there were opportunities and it did not happen. I gave Marginalized Persons a 1. Truly, the only gay moment was that Top Thorn and Joey, we ship them eternally.
Correct. They were definitely like boyfriends.
Oh, they were boyfriends.
They were boyfriends. But yeah, it was not very good representative-wise. And even if the author, was asking, people their stories, this is fiction and it's not...
Ain't no horses lived through World War I.
If the best gay representation is horses, that's not good.
Yeah.
But Manson family disclosure, nah. What 2 movies? I'm kind of glad they're like, I don't want to say that they're over with, but like I said, I was really like dreading watching Warhorse, even though now I'm like, oh my god, Warhorse.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to next time.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
Here are our scores for this time in between us.
Mm-hmm.
With Tinker Tailor and Warhorse. Join us next time where we're gonna watch something suspenseful, thrillers, horror. We're gonna do a bonus episode exploring those genres from 2011, and we are not telling you the titles. Definitely tune in next time. I don't even think they're on our little chart, so you're just gonna be entirely surprised, okay? Thank you. Click like, comment if you ever watched Warhorse. Share this video and say Benedict Cumberbatchception.
But for real though.
For reals. Bye.
Bye. I just remembered something else that was really gay that happened in the movie though. And this is like mean, so I'm gonna cut it. But when Tom Hiddleston does that little sketch